Some exciting attacking football from Arsenal, but unfortunately more injuries and more defensive lapses have left us with a very sour taste in our mouths. It feels familiar, doesn't it? Aston Villa at home, and it feels like the title race might be done. Let's get into it. Yes, hello and welcome back to Arsenal Unfiltered, your 3 times a week dose of Arsenal coverage with your host, me, Mark. Just some housekeeping before we get started with this match review of Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 2. This is later out than usual. I appreciate everyone bearing with me. I've had some family things this weekend, which means I wasn't able to do my normal cadence, but I am here. It is 12 minutes past 8 on Sunday evening. And with a little space from the game, it might actually be a benefit to this podcast because I think it would have been quite difficult to do it when I normally do it, which is Saturday evening. Because it was a tough afternoon to watch, wasn't it? It was a tough afternoon to watch, especially after Liverpool salvaged a victory in the very, very dying minutes of their game against Brentford. Tough to say it's not deserved because I think they had nearly 40 shots in that game. Which is incredible. But, you know, for a long time there, it felt like they might drop points, which would open the gap for us. And ultimately ended up them winning and us drawing, which, at kind of 85th minute of the Liverpool game, I don't think anyone was anticipating either of those results going that way. Obviously, we started the afternoon with a big piece of news. And that was that William Saliba was not in the lineup, which pushed Thomas Partey to right back and Jurrien Timber into centre back. The rest of the lineup: Raya, Partey, Timber, Gabriel, Mars Lewis-Skelly, Rice, Ødegaard, Marino, Martinelli, Havertz, Trossard. So really interesting. Had to shuffle. Had to rethink things. Interesting that Partey has gone to right back in this scenario, and Timber gone to centre-back, rather than bringing in Kivior and playing a left footer at right centre-back or something like that. Yeah, I wonder how Kivior feels like that, about that. That is a strange move. We know that Arteta is very, very particular about not having a right footer at left centre-back or not having a left footer at right centre-back. So he's clearly brought Timber in to not disrupt that, not disrupt the left side. And I also think maybe there's an element of we need our very best player next to Mars Lewis-Skelly, because as impressive as he is still 18. So I wonder if there's an element of protecting him there as well and putting Partey in at right back. That decision obviously did not go super well. We will come on to that later in this podcast. But, for me, I just want to speak a little bit about the Saliba injury before we get into the game. That could be it. In my view, I think it would be tough for me to sit here and say if we'd drawn with Aston Villa and we'd had all of our players fit and it just happened like that. I think I would have felt really bad, but I think there would have still been a little bit of hope. The fact that Saliba has the potential to be out for a number of weeks, I think, Arteta described himself as very worried in the post-match press conference. That could be curtains, if you ask me. We can't be without both Saka and Saliba. That, I just feel like that's not a sustainable position to be in, and to be without other players as well, to be without Ben White, to be without Calafiori, to be without Jesus. The injuries are stacking up, and I think, yes, we've lost Ødegaard for an extended period this year. Yes, obviously we've lost Saka for an extended period this year. But one thing that has been pretty consistent has been Saliba and Gabriel at the back. And they have, in a difficult season, they have been a real shining light, their performances, in my opinion. I think they have quietly gone about their work, not so quietly for Gabriel, of course. He's been right in the limelight, but Saliba's quietly gone around his work and kept us in a lot of games. And kept us dominating and allowing us to control the other team. Really, they do a lot of that work, and the credit often goes to the midfield, but the centre backs do a lot of that. If we lose Saliba for an extended period of time as well, I really think that is game over. Especially with City coming up early Feb, that will be a difficult game to be without two of our best players for that. is going to be very difficult. So I hope that injury is not serious, and it certainly affected us yesterday. Let's get into the game. This won't be as long a podcast as usual, just for time constraints. I want to get this out Sunday evening, so I won't go through it in too much detail. What I will say is I think this was probably our best attacking performance in a little while. I know we only got 2 goals, but we were moving the ball a lot faster, which really, really pleased me. One criticism of Arsenal this year is, they've become a bit predictable, or we've become a little bit slow and lethargic, I think is, kind of the general feeling around the club, and externally to the club as well. We're a bit predictable, we play a bit of horseshoe football, and we need to be a bit more direct and a little bit more high energy. And I thought we brought a bit of that yesterday. There was a number of times that both Trossard and Martinelli were able to isolate the fullback because we were getting the ball out to them quickly. We weren't asking them to do it against 2 men. The ball was being snapped out to them at pace, and we looked up for it. I said this, I think, on Rohan's video the other day at Enwy Emery. Go and check that out if you haven't listened to it. But I said that, you can't criticise these players for not trying. They are always up for it, and that is one thing we should be very grateful for. And they looked really up for it in this game. They looked really like they wanted to make a statement off the back of the Tottenham game, which is exactly what I wanted them to do. And of course, we got the first goal through Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli playing really well. It was in about the 35th minute, I believe. It's a little bit unlucky, let's say, for Martinelli, but I think the fullback has got a lot to answer for here. Trossard does really, really well, beats his man and puts in a very, very good cross. And Martinelli just steals a jump on Maatsen, I believe it is. And Maatsen actually got hooked at half-time following Martinelli doing such a good job on him. Yeah, it is as simple as that. It's really good from both of those players. One, Trossard to beat his man and provide a moment of quality. It's felt like he's been missing moments of quality over the last few weeks, and perhaps you might extend that out to the whole season. It's felt that way, and he today had 2 real moments of quality. This was the first one. Beat his man, put a really good cross in. And Martinelli, like I said before, hunger, desire to get in there, get a shot off. And it's not the perfect finish. It's not the prettiest goal you will ever see, but he gets enough contact on it to kind of basically force Martinez back into the net. That's kind of what happens. He gets one save on it, but it's not enough to completely divert it in the back out from goal, and it ends up just going over the goal. Martinez palms it out. These goals are brilliant for technology, aren't they? This is exactly what technology is used for. We could have been staring a 2-1 defeat down if we didn't have goal line technology in this game, and it's just quick, it works. It's not like VAR, it's not subjective. It just is a fantastic piece of technology, and that is exactly what we want from our technology in football. And at that point, I thought it was thoroughly deserved. Aston Villa, let's be fair, had some moments, but they were mainly on the counter-attack. We were going very, very high, very aggressive with Mars, Lewis, Skelly and Partey. They were working basically for a lot of this first half in the final third. That was where they were doing a lot of their work, and they were kind of trusting Timber and Gabriel to deal with Watkins. Watkins did get away a couple of times. There were a couple of moments, but I don't think they really, really threatened with too much. And definitely overall, the first half was ours. I was really pleased with the performance. I have to say, I like I say, I thought we were moving the ball far, far more efficiently, and Martinelli and Trossard were getting real threat in down that side. If you look at the pass map for like the first half versus the second half for Aston Villa, the first half, they are camped. There isn't a player average position in our half, which is quite incredible. You can also look at the pass maps, and their forwards and their midfielders they're not really in the game at all. Whenever Villa had the ball, it was at the feet of their defenders, and they were trying to kind of go long. I think I saw sort of 17% of their passes in the overall game were long balls, whereas our pass maps through kind of our first sub were really, really high, really aggressive, and that's how we played all day. So First half, I'm looking at it, I'm going, okay, we're 1-0 up against Aston Villa. Looks like Trossard and Martinelli have got their men not on toast, but are having a really good game. I'm really, really pleased with this. Yeah, there were a couple of moments for them, but it was a good first half, and it only continued in a positive vein in the second half, didn't it? I mean, 50th minute, Kai Havertz. I'm so happy for Kai Havertz. This is one of the positives, I think, along with Leandro Trossard's performance. One of the positives from yesterday is Kai Havertz. He gets his goal. Again, quality from Trossard down the left, beats his man, puts a good ball in. Like I said, it's two real moments of quality that he has been missing. He got two today. And again, from Havertz, it's a good strike. It is kind of at the keeper, but because it's firm enough, because it's hard enough, and because he hits it early enough, Martinez can't do much about it. I don't think Martinez had a great day yesterday with both of those goals, but we definitely did. We did enough. So I'm really pleased at 2-0. I'm really, really pleased because the game could have got a bit nervy if we kept it at 1-0. And actually we came out flying really in the second half. If you think about it, just 5 minutes in to get a second goal, absolutely what we needed. And I felt, okay, we've built ourselves a bit of a buffer here, and what we do better than any team potentially in the world, but at least in the Premier League, is lock things down. So sat there, I'm thinking, we're in a great spot. And then 10 minutes of terrible football from us. I should say terrible defending. I think the first Villa goal, I'm looking at Marino quite a bit here. I think he's got to track his man a lot better than he does. I kind of questioned it on Blue Sky, kind of posted like, can Marino do better? And I've watched it again, and I think he has to. I think he absolutely has to. He's not really gone with Tielemans as much as he could. In the end, he does put a challenge on there, so it's not like he completely left his man. But I think you've got to, as a defensive player, a midfielder who has been brought in to be that guy to win duels, to be able to defend our box but also attack theirs. I think he has got to be absolutely across that. And I think he just gets a steal on him, right? Tielemans just gets a steal on him. Fair play to Tielemans. He's very brave to get the head in, and it is a good cross from the left wing. I think Digne put it in, who came on at half-time for Maatsen. But still at 2-1, I'm thinking, okay, but that's what the buffer's there for. A kind of slip of concentration from Marino, a good moment of quality from Villa. That's why you build the buffer. And 8 minutes later, it was 2-2. And this one, I think Marino is at fault, and I want to talk a little bit about Marino later. I'll talk about both of these players, but Thomas Partey really goes to sleep on this one. Ollie Watkins is given so much space in the box, and he's a really good player, Ollie Watkins, a really good finisher. If you give him that much space, he's going to punish you. He will punish you, but it's not a typical Ollie Watkins goal, is it? It's not like he's given him space to run off him and he's sprinted away from him. Actually, it's a ball into the box, which we really should be dealing with our defensive prowess and the size of our players, and Partey just completely switches off, wanders forward of the defensive line. Watkins is basically free. The ball comes in from Aston Villa's right, and he has a really simple chance. I don't blame Raya at all. I think it's all on Partey. A really bad moment from him. And then, of course, we have 20 minutes to win the game. 20 minutes to win the game, and I really cannot fault the effort from this point forward as well. We came very close to winning it with the Marino disallowed goal. And I do have to say, look, that is a clear handball. As much as we wanted that goal to go in, as much as we were willing that goal to stand, as soon as I saw the first replay, I think you have to look really hard and want to look really hard for that to hit his stomach, which some people were claiming, or for it to hit anything other than his arm. And ultimately, the rule is, no matter whether it's accidental, if it comes off stomach, then hits arm, or, it comes off anything and then hits your arm. If you have scored with your hand, the rule is it's not a goal, no matter the context. And if that was against us, we would all be absolutely raging if that goal had stood. People calling for VAR to do more checks, but It's a very strange one, since we spent the whole of last season complaining about how slow VAR is. Actually, if they can see an angle where it clearly strikes Havertz's hand, they should do it quickly. We can't complain. We can't complain. Against Tottenham, we got a corner that shouldn't have been a corner. This game, it didn't go for us. Since the Brighton game, we've had some good decisions for us. We've had a very soft penalty against Manchester United. We had the corner thing against Tottenham. Anyone who is kind of online spouting off at the VAR calls, I don't think you can complain in this game. But we came close. Trossard had a good chance. I think he might have been offside for that, where he got in and had a left-footed shot. And the effort and the desire for a team that were out on their knees, I thought. They looked really tired, but it was like we just switched off for 10 minutes. 60th minute to 70th minute, we forgot how to play football. And then even with tired legs after the 70th minute, we really went for it. They got penned back in their half again. They ended up basically in 2 banks of 5, which we've seen before. And really difficult to score from that point, but we still created some chances. And it's such a shame to play so well over 80 minutes and let a game slip in 10 minutes. Now, there's a bit of me that goes, geez, we were under par for 10 minutes and we conceded 2 goals and we were maximally punished. There's a bit of me that goes, that feels like this year it goes a different way for other teams, and it goes, we concede 2 goals for us because, it's just the luck of the draw and it's Murphy's Law this year. And then there is a bit of me that looks at those 2 individual moments of defending and thinks those players absolutely must do better. It doesn't matter that they were in a 10-minute period. If those 2 moments were spread out over the game, actually we'd be really, really questioning it at the whole performance. So just because they were in a 10-minute period doesn't mean that, it's bad luck. It's 2 really poor moments for me. And let's get into it now then, because I wanted to talk a lot in this podcast about individual performances. I'm going to caveat this all with, look, if Saliba's out and we concede 2 goals at that right centre-back spot, which is basically where we conceded 2 goals from, right? Tielemans steals in, gets a head away, and then the ball is into that right centre-back spot. I can understand it, especially when you think, well, okay, Saliba's out, we'll bring Ben White in. No, we can't do that. Oh, well, Saliba's out, we'll put Tomiyasu in. Well, no, we can't do that. Okay, well, we'll bring Timber to right back and we'll put one of those lads out we'll bring Timber in from right back and we'll put one of those lads at right back. Well, you can't do that, they're injured. That is real mitigation. Real mitigation. If you're missing defenders of the quality of Tomiyasu, Ben White and Saliba, defending your box is going to be more difficult. I totally accept that. But I think it's time that we have a real serious chat about Thomas Partey. Now, I have, earlier in this season, really spouted Thomas Partey's praises. And I thought he had a fantastic start to the year. And to be fair, I still don't think he's been terrible in games. I don't think he was terrible in this game. And his fitness has obviously improved an inordinate amount. And he has done a good job for us this year. And his progressive passing remains really, really positive. But I have to say, at right back, he really, really isn't a good player there. I think he's had 1 good game there out of the 6 he's played, and that was against Liverpool. And I almost think maybe that was more, we viewed that as a good game because we were surprised Luis Diaz didn't cook him. And maybe, actually, Luis Diaz was just having a poor game, and Partey kind of got away with it. It's tough to tell. But look, I think he has become, again, in the recent weeks, a player who gives other teams chances. He was caught on the ball a couple of times against Manchester United to give them chances. He was definitely caught on the ball against Tottenham. Was that the back heel game? I think it was. And yesterday, he has basically given Aston Villa a goal because it's a really poor piece of defending. The way he I don't know if he switches off or just doesn't think that that's a ball that's ever going to come in, but he has to be nearer Watkins. He has to be competing for that. He has to be goal side of him, really, in my view, and pushing him out of that area. It's really, really poor. Really, really poor, and I don't know how he switches off quite so bad. And I, for everything that Thomas Partey gives you, I think he just gives teams chances. And I'm starting to get to the point where, if we don't have the ability to go and score 3-4 goals in games, which I really don't think we do anymore, then we must be brilliant defensively. And I really do accept that he's out of position, but we've got to stop persisting with it, I think. And clearly the club has made a move as well to not persist with him at 6 with the Zubimendi deal. You never know. They might sign him to a 1-year extension as just backup to Zubimendi, but they're clearly going to go with Zubimendi if we get that deal over the line. So they've given up with him at 6. We need to give up with him at right back. I would rather us play Kivior right centre back, and we have Timber out there, and that bit of the defence looks a little bit weird because at least you have a player that knows how to defend the box, that knows where to stand. I appreciate it might be uncomfortable on the ball for him, but he's still going to stand in the right spots and block the right shots. So I think that's important. I have really also not commented much on the summer business because I think it's been extremely unfortunate the way Calafiori's been injured. A lot of people have gone like, yeah, but look at his injury record. We should have known about his injury record. Well, yeah, but his worst injury was when he was 16. That is a long time ago. 8 years. 6 years. And there's been plenty of players who've had bad injury records who have gone on and had a good period. They will have had information about this. So I feel for them that Calafiori's been injured, and I feel for them that Marino has not been able to get into a settled midfield. We've changed the 6. Feels like basically every week. We are constantly rotating in there, and he played a long time without Ødegaard in that midfield. I do think he's done okay. It's a very 5 out of 10 season so far, but again, that moment yesterday where he just let Tielemans go and Tielemans gets a steal on him, gets a march on him and gets the header away, that hasn't done anything to increase my confidence. And look, I think there are a number of players who have had shaky starts at Arsenal who have gone on to be really, really good players for us. Gabriel Magalhaes is obviously one of them, and he has been just sensational over the past 2 seasons. Absolutely sensational. But for me, my feeling about Marino was, okay, he's not blowing my mind, right? He's not doing anything amazing, but he seems really dependable, really reliable. And just seeing him get left behind yesterday, I thought, maybe it's just one moment, and maybe I'm overreacting. But I thought, well, if you can't bring the dependable things, if you can't track your man, if you can't be alive to runners and things like that, and you're not offering anything, or not offering much, I should say, going forward, that's a real worry for me. I hope he turns it around because I support these players. They are all Arsenal players. I will continue to support them. And 2 players I really want to support because they had really good games yesterday, Leandro Trossard and Kai Havertz. Now, Kai Havertz got through a lot of work, and I think, it wasn't his best Arsenal performance by a long way, but he has had a rotten last kind of 10 to 14 days. Absolutely awful. So for him to quickly, I say quickly kind of in inverted commas, because it has been 2 games since the Newcastle game. He has got a goal. And I think that was the thing that we were all worried about. And when he came in, we were worried about it as well. He is such a confidence, happiness player that when his head goes down, it feels like he won't score for 20, 30 games. And that's kind of what Chelsea fans said about him. Yes, he can be good in periods where he's feeling good, but actually when he goes off of it, he is really out of it for a long time. But he gets his goal, and I'm really, really happy for him. He was obviously assisted by Leandro Trossard, who had a brilliant game, and he moved the ball very quickly. He actually only had 62% pass completion rate, but he had 9 progressive passes within that. 3 key passes, 2 assists, obviously, 11 progressive carries. Just a really impressive performance. He was everywhere on that left wing, and I think if we can see more of that Leandro Trossard, that's brilliant. I'm going to keep it a short one. I want to just finish on one final thought. What next for Arteta? What next for Arteta? He has to get something in January transfer window from the board. His messaging at the moment is he's pushing for it, and he really needs support. He spoke yesterday about how Liverpool were able to change the game. They were able to change their game by bringing on Darwin Núñez and going and beating Brentford from that. And his bench yesterday was a little bit it was threadbare. It wasn't really anything, which is a real shame. We need players. We need players now. Yes, we've got injuries, but we've got Jorginho and we've got Partey who are timing out of their contracts in the end of the summer, so there will be funds available there. Obviously, Sterling's just a loan, so that's 3 slots that we need to fill in the squad anyway. Zubimendi is going to get one of them. Why not bring kind of that Sterling replacement signing in much, much earlier? We need a new face. We need a new option. And I just think with the Jesus injury, with the Saka injury, he has to get that. I also think he has to probably challenge himself a little bit on some of the players that are playing for him and some of the moments that we're seeing. Yes, there have been some bad luck moments this year, but I think that Thomas Partey moment yesterday was one of those ones where actually we're not looking around at VAR, we're not looking around at the ref, we're not looking at bad luck, we're looking at a bad moment for a player who should do better. And he said after the game, absolutely, we must do better in the defensive moments. And I think Jakub Kiwior is going to be someone who is sat there thinking, hang on, these players are not playing that great, so why can't I get a look in? Jurrien Timber's been brilliant this year. Gabriel's been brilliant. Miles Lewis-Skelly's been brilliant. However, I don't think Partey's doing it at right back. And if we're going to lose Saliba, I think you have to play Timber out there because you don't have another option. You don't have another credible option because Partey is not a credible right back option. So I think he must address that. He must address that soon and start integrating Kiwior at right centre back, or come up with some other solution. I know a lot of people have been talking about Declan Rice at centre-back. I hate that as an idea, but do I hate it more than I dislike Partey at right-back? I don't know. I don't know, but something has to change because there have been a number of moments where we're just kind of looking at our defence and maybe at some of our midfield moments as well and thinking we're giving teams chances here. So I think he has to probably look at sitting Partey down for a couple of games and trying to find a different solution, trying to find a different scale for the team. And he obviously has to pick heads back up for a big game in the Champions League on Wednesday night, I believe. He has to do something there. And it might be a blessing that actually a Champions League night is a real different face for Arsenal. It's a different experience in the stadium. I think he must get that energy back in the players. Anyone that is Arteta out right now, I think is absolutely crazy. I must say that. Look, you can support however you want and you can have not any opinion you want, but you're allowed to form your own opinion. But for me, I cannot believe that with this injury list that we've got, people are saying that Arteta's not doing a good job. Absolutely, yesterday's result was not good and there were key individual moments from players that need to be addressed, need to be coached better, need to be dealt with, and potentially, like I say, need to be sat down on the bench for a little while. But actually, is it the worst call in the world for a manager to go with an international captain who has played right back before at right back so that he can have his preferred tactical setup? I don't think that decision's a crime in any way, shape or form. In hindsight, I don't agree with it, but looking at the cold hard facts, I think, I can understand why he did it. And he's also not entirely in control of recruitment. He obviously has a big influence, and there were real reports that Mikel Merino was his influence, but actually he's also there sending messages to the board saying we need players. So, I think ultimately with the injuries we've got, some of these results over the last kind of 4 games have been in the post. They have. We are still 12 games unbeaten in the Premier League. We've played some really tough teams in that period, and we just need players to come back. We absolutely need players to come back. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Slightly shorter one. We obviously went through the game a little bit, some of the strong performers, and what next for Arteta. Like I said, he needs the board to back him. He needs to address the Partey right back selection situation, and he needs to get the energy back in the team. Hopefully he can do that before our game on Wednesday night. Again, apologies, this is a later one and a shorter one, but I wanted to get something out to you guys anyway, and make sure that you have something to listen to, maybe on your way into work on Monday morning. If you've liked this episode, or you've liked any episode of Arsenal Unfiltered, please do consider giving a follow or a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts at. It really helps me out and helps me grow the Arsenal Unfiltered community. For now, thank you for following, thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.